This morning, an investigation is underway into a deadly shooting inside a Texas church. I'm Laura Podesta with details on why the number of parishioners killed could have been much higher.
Longtime commissioner and former mayor of Bozeman, Jeff Krause, says he's stepping down from the Bozeman City Commission. Tonight, we'll have a sit-down interview with the former mayor, who says his career in local politics might not be over yet.
All right, happy Monday morning. We are coming up on 6:30, and Matt has a look at the weather.
I do, and good morning to everybody.
Morning.
I hope you're having a great morning. Looking forward to 2020.
Not long now.
No,
yeah,
and
it's just
we're
around the
looking at
corner. I can't believe we're seeing that.
I
It's
know,
kind of crazy.
man.
We're looking at the potential of some snow by the time we head into the new year, so I want to let you know the timing on this coming Tuesday night into Wednesday with scattered snow showers as you head in through the end of the week. So it could be a fairly active pattern. Very cold this morning in West Yellowstone, 20 below for the early part of the day. Skies are relatively clear right now. Our daytime high should be into the mid to upper 20s for the afternoon. Look for patchy fog this morning. That could be an issue driving for the day, but generally we should be sunny and chilly for your Monday. More on your forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Matt. 2 members of a Texas church are dead after a gunman opened fire during Sunday services.
Yeah, local officials say it would have been much worse had it not been for other members of the congregation who returned fire and killed the gunman. Now, a warning, you may find the video and audio disturbing in this story. CBS's Laura Podesta has it.
It was over in just 6 seconds. A live stream of the services at West Freeway Church of Christ shows a man standing up, pulling out a shotgun and opening fire.
There are 2 people that were shot and they died at a local hospital.
Church members screamed and ducked under pews. Several others were armed and returned fire, killing the gunman.
The suspect is deceased. The threat was stopped thanks to the quick and heroic actions of those safety members inside the church.
The church in the town of White Settlement, Texas, has a voluntary security team.
The citizens who were inside that church undoubtedly saved 242 other parishioners.
CBS News has learned the 2 parishioners killed were identified as Richard White and Tony Wallace.
Today is one sermon I'll never preach.
Britt Farmer is the church's senior minister.
It was called Leaving a Legacy. And 2 men today left a legacy.
The FBI is still working to identify the gunman's motive.
If evil's going to try to do something horrible, evil's going to do something horrible.
Some churchgoers say the shooter showed up seemingly in disguise.
The shooter was sitting next to my mother, and so she's the one that recognized that he had a fake beard on and fake sunglasses on.
It looked so fake, and so I just kind of kept looking back there.
2 people suffered minor injuries while ducking for cover. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
Now, Laura tells us the gunman's identity has not yet been released. Authorities say he has some roots to that area, but is what they're calling relatively transient.
All right, and news closer to home. After 16 years in the Bozeman City Commission, former mayor and Commissioner Jeff Krause is stepping down.
MTN's Gabby Kravitz spoke with him earlier this week and has more on his future plans.
When I spoke to Jeff Krause, he was careful to use the word stepping down over retiring. He says he'd like to spend some time reconnecting with the community and has not written off the possibility of another run for office.
I started working in local government in 1991. It's all of that I have to put in a big box and store somewhere, put in the storage unit, so to speak, the mental storage unit.
After 16 years in the Bozeman City Commission, including 3 terms as mayor, Jeff Krause says it's time for a break.
I'm stepping down for a while. I might run again in 2 years, but I felt like it was time to see who would step up.
Krause also says he wants to take the time to reconnect with people in the city and possibly find a job that requires regular interaction with residents in Bozeman. Over the years, Krause established himself as a commissioner that would stand his ground, oftentimes taking votes that didn't match up with the rest of the commission.
I'm not voting for this. I'm sorry, I'm not voting for this. Everybody's going to have their say.
Some highlights of Krause's time in the Bozeman City Commission include getting the Bozeman Public Safety Center passed and approving the financial support for Gallatin College, a 2-year institution that recently celebrated its 1,000th graduate.
My gratitude is overwhelming that I was given this chance to contribute to my adopted city, and so I appreciate every moment of it.
You could see the full interview with Krause on our website shortly. Back to you.
Thank you, Gabby. 6:35 now. We're going to shift it up just a little bit. Steamboat Geyser in Yellowstone National Park erupted for the 48th time this year, back on the 26th of December.
Now, if the current pattern of eruptions every 8 or 9 days holds, it's not likely to erupt again this year. But MTN's John Shear reports those 48 eruptions set a huge new record.
Last year, Steamboat notched 32 major eruptions, eclipsing the previous high of 29 set back in 1964. This year's 48 majors dwarfs all of that.
Sort of classic behavior for a geyser.
Poland isn't talking about breaking records. He says the big lesson is that geysers are completely unpredictable.
Most geysers don't behave like Old Faithful.
That's because in spite of years of research, there's so much scientists just don't understand yet.
It gets really chaotic when you get close to the surface.
A maze of channels, cracks, and ever-changing water flows is just too complex to detect with current equipment. But Poland says there might be one correlation to consider.
There's been 3 really incredible heavy snow and rain years.
That could mean there's just more water to prime the Steamboat Geyser.
There's nothing definitive that we can tie to it. And we have some ideas, but it's very difficult to test them just because we don't have the data that we need, and especially going back in time, lots and lots of data, to be able to really nail down what we think might be happening.
That quest for more knowledge, for a better understanding of the world's greatest concentration of geysers, is what keeps pulling Poland back to Yellowstone.
You never know what you're going to learn here because it's so wide open. Even though we've been studying it for 150 years, there's still a tremendous amount to learn here.
In Bozeman, I'm John Shearer for MTN News.
Steamboat is the tallest active geyser in the world. Poland says it generates so much water when it erupts that it floods nearby Tantalus Creek. A water flow monitor in the creek is one of the ways scientists know a steamboat eruption is a major blast or a minor outburst.
That's on my bucket list. I
That's
would like to see a steamboat eruption at some point.
Yes, me too.
Been there afterwards, but never before it.
Yeah, me either.
6:37 now. It was a year of meatless burgers, unicorn IPOs, but the biggest star may have been the stock market.
Diane King Hall has a look back at the top business stories of 2019.
The stock market had a year for the record books, posting dozens of all-time highs. 2019 saw the Dow Jones Industrial Average up more than 20%. Those big gains were a sign of confidence in the U.S. economy, where employers ended the year on a hiring spree, bringing the unemployment rate to its lowest level in half a century. Uber, Lyft, and Peloton were among the year's splashiest public offerings. They're known as the unicorns, companies valued at over $1 billion without having turned a profit. On the flip side, Beyond Meat is already turning a juicy profit after going public in May. The company is one of the pioneers of high-tech meatless burgers. President Trump had a war of words with the chairman of the Federal Reserve, pressuring Jerome Powell to cut interest rates.
If he used his head, he would lower them.
The Fed did cut short-term rates 3 times this year to prevent an economic slowdown in the face of a trade war with China. It was a dark year for Boeing after a second MAX 737 crashed in Ethiopia, killing all 157 people on board. MAX flights were grounded around the world, and the CEO was summoned to Capitol Hill.
We are sorry, deeply and truly sorry.
An Oklahoma judge ordered Johnson & Johnson to pay $465 million for its role in the opioid crisis. The case was the first state lawsuit to make it to trial and accused the drug maker of knowingly flooding the market with addictive painkillers. Equifax agreed to a $700 million settlement for the breach that exposed the personal information of 147 million Americans. And Facebook agreed to a record $5 billion penalty for mishandling users' private information. The social media giant also introduced plans for a cryptocurrency.
The idea behind Libra is that sending money should be as easy and secure as sending a message.
The streaming wars heated up with Disney Plus, Apple TV Plus, and HBO Max all joining the battle for viewers who've cut the cord. One of the hottest young companies went on life support. WeWork was about to go public when investors took a closer look at its finances and found more than $1 billion in losses. The real estate company that provides shared workspaces forced out its high-flying CEO and announced thousands of layoffs. General Motors settled the longest auto workers strike in 50 years. The walkout lasted 6 weeks. Tesla unveiled its newest creation, though the launch didn't go exactly as planned. The long-awaited electric Cybertruck is made of the same stainless steel as a SpaceX rocket. And those are some of the year's top business stories. Diane King Hall, CBS News, New York.
And Tesla is accepting pre-orders for the Cybertruck, but the first versions are not expected to be available for at least 2 years, with prices starting at around $40,000. And Chet,
probably the windows will work better than they did during that little demonstration. That was one of the funnier things from 2019.
It was.
6:40 here on This Monday. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's that time of year when we say goodbye to the old and hello to the new.
And the good morning to the effects of those greetings, some tips for making that morning a little easier. But first, let's head to New York for a look at what's coming up on CBS This Morning at 7.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS This Morning, 2 attacks on religious communities in one weekend. We're at the scenes in Texas and here in New York with stories of heroes who helped stop the violence. Plus, Dr. John LaPook is here to reveal potential medical advances and breakthroughs of 2020 and the next decade, from remote doctor visits to a universal flu vaccine. And meet the 65-year-old serving up his secret weapon as he tries to join the 2020 table tennis Olympic team. We'll see you at 7.